Well, hello. We have another reading now from Torah Thoughts by Rabbi Leo Gartenberg, Mr. Rabbi Leo Gartenberg, on the Torah. It's called Mlikuté. It's called Mlikuté Eliezer. So anyway, this is about the importance of providing people with a place to eat if they don't have a place, to have a guest for Shabbos. The guest who became a scholar. The Chafetz Chaim used to relate the following incident, which showed the greatness of the mitzvah of providing the poor with a place in which to live. Oh, so this is also the importance of providing the poor with a place to live also as well. The Dubner Maggid was accustomed, whenever he rented an apartment, to insert a clause to make a verbal agreement with the landlord that he be permitted to take in poor guests to live in his house. When he was the official preacher in Zamush, he once noticed a blind man standing in the street accompanied by a young boy who was leading him. The Maggid went out and invited the two to his home, giving them a room for their use. The old man was sick and soon after passed away, leaving the young child alone in the world. The Maggid took him under his wing, treated him like one of his own children, and sent him to the best schools. The child could not remain long with one teacher. His knowledge in the Torah increased at such a rapid stage that he had to be sent to larger yeshivot. The young boy was eventually known as the Great Gaon, the famous Rabbi Solomon Kluger of blessed memory. So that's, there you have it. Because the Dubner Maggid gave the blind man and the young boy that was accompanying him, leading him, gave them a place to live. This young boy became a great scholar, a Talmud Chacham, and he became the famous Rabbi Solomon Kluger of blessed memory, a great rabbi. So that's an important thing, to provide a place, if one can, to poor guests, or even to have somebody over as a guest for a meal. A meal for the poor. The Gaon, Rabbi Salanter, was always lecturing his congregants on the mitzvah of charity and giving a meal to a poor person. Why is it, he asked, that I often see members of my congregation standing at the door and calling to passers-by to come in to fill a minyan? That's the 10 men to make a minyan, to daven. I have never yet seen any of these people standing at the door of their homes calling to a poor person to come in and partake of a meal in their home. The mitzvah of inviting a poor person to complete a mezuman, blessing after a meal, is so big, and the reward is so much greater. So that's a very good point. So the mitzvah of inviting a poor person to complete a mezuman, that's 3. You need 3 for the blessing after the meal, and this way the person gets a meal, gets to eat. So that is a very great thing to provide for a person. Starting mitzvos at a young age. When Rabbi Bunim of Pishichsha was only about 5 years old, some guests came to his father, the rabbi of Vidishlo, It was winter and the weather was very cold. The rabbi prepared a hot meal for his guests so that they could warm themselves. In the middle of the meal, the rabbi told his young son, "Go, my son, discover something new in the commandment of Hachnasas Orchim, welcoming guests." The young boy left him and walked into another room where he spent some time. So he told him, "Go and discover something new in the mitzvah, the commandment of Hachnasas Orchim, of inviting guests to one's house, or a guest." So the young boy left him and walked into another room where he spent some time. When he returned, his father asked him, "Well, did you discover anything?" "Yes," answered the 5-year-old boy. Having heard about the genius of this boy, the guests were convinced that the father had ordered the boy to write a composition in connection with the law of welcoming guests. After they finished their meal, the father said to the guests, "Let us go together and see what my young man discovered." They came into another room, and the father proudly showed them what the young lad had done. The room had been set up with several cots bedded with blankets, linen, and pillows. "Make yourselves comfortable and go to sleep," said the father to guests. And now they understood how smart the young boy really was. In other words, he didn't learn something new from the text, but he learned something in a very practical way. He set up beds for the people, for the guests, and he made them blankets with linen and pillows for them to be comfortable. So then they found out how smart the young boy really was. That's from a Hasidic story. This is the story of Rabbi Bunim of Peshichsha, and he was the 5 years old. He was only 5 years old, and some guests came to his father, the Rabbi of Vidishlov. So that's starting mitzvahs at a young age. Okay, thank you very much. So this is from Torah Thoughts, from Leo Gartenberg, and here is Mr. Leo Gartenberg. Told you all about him. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Take care.